The observation deck of the Zal Thresh Academy hummed with the nervous chatter of a dozen species. Commander Valaxis stood at the transparisteel viewport, his four eyes tracking the human shuttle as it docked with their station. His mandibles clicked in distaste. "A human," he muttered to his second-in-command. "The Galactic Council sends us a human to teach combat strategy." Lieutenant Krashina shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, her credentials are irrelevant," Valaxis snapped. "Humans are monsters. They come from a death world where everything wants to kill them. And they've learned to kill better. They have no place teaching our youth." The human emerged from the airlock corridor moments later. She was smaller than Valaxis had expected, barely reaching his thorax, with dark skin and close-cropped hair. She wore a simple instructor's uniform, a data pad tucked under one arm. "Commander Valaxis?" Her voice was steady, professional. "Captain Sarah Chen reporting for assignment." Valaxis didn't extend a greeting gesture. "Captain Chen, I'll be frank. I opposed your appointment. Humans have a reputation for violence that I find distasteful. However, the Council has mandated your presence, so I will tolerate it." Sarah's expression didn't change. "Understood, Commander. You'll be teaching advanced tactical theory to our senior cadets. They are the best of the Galactic Alliance. I trust you won't corrupt them with your species' barbaric tendencies." "I'll teach them what they need to survive," Sarah replied evenly. Valaxis's mandibles clicked again. "You're a monster, Captain. A well-trained one, perhaps, but a monster nonetheless." "Dismissed." Sarah nodded once and turned away. Valaxis watched her go, satisfied that he'd established the proper hierarchy. 10 seconds later, the station's emergency klaxons screamed to life. "Commander." Kreshina's communicator erupted with panicked voices. "Breach in Sector 7. Unknown vessel has attached to our hull. Multiple contacts entering the station." Valaxis's blood ran cold. Sector 7. The cadet dormitories. The security feeds showed nightmare-made flesh. Kresh raiders, the galaxy's most feared pirates. 8 feet tall, covered in chitinous armor, wielding plasma weapons that could melt through bulkheads. They moved through the corridors with terrifying efficiency, driving cadets before them like prey. "Seal all sections," Valaxis ordered. "Get our security teams." "Sir, our teams are 5 minutes away. The raiders are 30 seconds from the main dormitory hall. There are 200 cadets there." Valaxis felt his legs weaken. 200 children from across the galaxy, all under his protection, and he was helpless to save them. On the security feed, Sarah Chen appeared. She had been in the dormitory section, reviewing tomorrow's lesson plans. Now she stood in the corridor between the raiders and the children, utterly alone. "Fool human," Valaxis whispered. "Run!" But Sarah didn't run. The lead Kresh raider saw her and laughed, a horrible grinding sound. It raised its plasma rifle. Sarah moved. Valaxis had studied hundreds of species combat doctrines. He'd seen Kresh warriors dismantle trained soldiers, but he had never seen anything like what the human did next. She flowed like water and struck like lightning. The first raider's rifle was torn from its grip and used as a club against the second. As the weapon shattered, Sarah's elbow drove into a vulnerable joint gap. Then her knee found another. She grabbed a plasma pistol from a falling raider and fired 3 shots, 3 headshots, while diving behind cover. The remaining raiders opened fire, but Sarah was already moving. She used the station's architecture like a 3-dimensional chessboard, appearing and disappearing, each emergence marked by another raider falling. The largest raider, nearly 9 feet tall, charged her position with a roar. Sarah waited until the last possible second, then slid beneath its guard. Her hand found a grenade on its belt. 2 seconds later, the explosion took out the final 3 raiders. Silence fell over the corridor. Sarah stood among the bodies, breathing hard, plasma pistol still raised. Then she lowered it and turned to where the cadets huddled behind a sealed door. "It's okay," she said gently, her voice carrying through the intercom. "You're safe now." Valaxis stood frozen at his command console. His 4 eyes couldn't quite process what they'd witnessed. Sir, Krishna said quietly. Security teams have arrived. The threat is neutralized. 10 minutes later, Velaxis found Sarah in the medical bay getting a cut on her arm sealed. She looked up as he approached. Commander. Velaxis's mandibles worked soundlessly for a moment. Finally, he spoke. I called you a monster, Captain Chen. Yes, sir. You did. I was. He struggled with the words. Not entirely wrong. What I witnessed just now was monstrous, but I understand now that I mistook the nature of the monster. Sarah waited. You humans, Velaxis continued. You're not monsters because you enjoy violence. You're monsters because when violence comes for those you protect, you become something that violence itself fears. He gestured toward the dormitory section. Those raiders have terrorized this sector for decades. You stopped 8 of them in 90 seconds, alone. 73 seconds, actually, Sarah said. Then she smiled slightly. And I wasn't protecting them because I'm human, Commander. I was protecting them because I'm a teacher. Those are my students in there. Velaxis felt something shift in his understanding. What will you teach them, Captain? That strength isn't about being the biggest or the meanest, Sarah replied. It's about standing between the darkness and those who need you, even when you're scared, even when you're outmatched. She stood up, wincing slightly. And I'll teach them that monsters aren't defined by what they're capable of, but by what they choose to do with that capability. Velaxis extended all 4 of his hands in the gesture of deepest respect. Then teach them well, Captain Chen. I suspect we all have much to learn. As Sarah left the medical bay to check on her students, Velaxis understood something fundamental about humans. Yes, they were monsters, but they were our monsters. And in a galaxy full of darkness, sometimes you needed a monster standing in the light.